All right, people. So right here, we're trying to build our cash lineup. Typically, you want to target, 5x plus on FanDuel to get that $300 point mark. Um, Obviously, I start in point guard. Typically, when I build my cash lineups, I started off by putting in players that I'm gonna lock in almost no matter what. So I usually go position by position, and then I go back and start filling in the second guy in each position. If I look at point guard on this 6 game slate, I see Westbrook. There's always merit to putting Westbrook into a cash game lineup because his floor is so immense. Even at a 12K salary, it's like his floor is 4x, which is nearly 50 points. For the time being, I'm not going to lock him in unless I can find immense value that opens up elsewhere. Rozier, it is Orlando. It is a dream matchup, but his price is a little bit out there. You need 41 points from him to hit that. Granted, he probably can hit it, and he just may hit it. I'm just not willing to pay 8K for him, especially with Horford coming back. That's going to soak up a good chunk of that usage that Rozier soaked up the game before. Kyle Lowry, it should be a blowout, and Dallas plays slow, and he's more expensive than yesterday, so I'm going to pass on that. Dennis Smith, although he is one of my cash game superheroes based on his consistency, I'm not going to target him against Kyle Lowry. He had this one dud against Houston, but other than that, he's just mega safe for cash. He had this one dud against Utah, but that's Utah, and then had one dud against, I don't even know. He played 20 minutes. I don't know who that was. Was that an All-Star game or a Rising Stars game? Okay, go figure. Lonzo Ball, he's a bit pricey. He's definitely, he's what you call, I play him in cash when his price is right, his matchup is juicy. I play him in GPP other times, so I won't be playing him in cash today. I'm going to look at Dragic, A, because the Heat are shorthanded, B, because they're going against the Lakers, and C, because he's been relatively consistent for the most part. He has pretty safe game loss. His minutes are pretty much secured. This Washington game, he got into mega foul trouble early. I actually watched that game because I am a local, DC person. So I actually watched that game. But for the most part, his minutes and scoring is pretty consistent. Phoenix, that may have been a blowout situation. I'm not 100% sure. And one thing I look at with cash game plays is the defensive stats. If they're still hitting a safe number without defensive stats glaring, then that's a good sign because it means that they're not dependent upon defensive stats because that's something that you don't want to rely on in cash games. So I'll go ahead and plug in Dragic for the time being. I love Lakers games because they play absolutely fast. And as of now, Lakers are only playing like an 8 or 9 man rotation. So that's something to take advantage of, which will actually lead me to the next position. At shooting guard, DeMar DeRozan, he's pricey, should be a blowout, and Dallas plays slow. He hasn't been right as of late. And the Raptors bench are so good, it limits what the starters do because the Raptors don't need to play their starters because their bench comes in and plays like starters. So that's why I'm skipping him at that position in cash. Lou Williams has not been a gem as of late, which is why you see his price is steadily dropping. He's still kind of getting the minutes, but I think they may have started him a few games, and that when he starts, he sucks, period. But until Lou Williams gets his stride back and to start putting up those 35, 40-point games consistently, that's when I'll consider him again. The snitch, D'Angelo Russell. Philadelphia is a good matchup because he gets JJ Redick defense. So I definitely think he has the upside and possibly the floor to do well against Philadelphia. This is actually a possible good game stack. If you want to stack the guys outside of Embiid and Simmons, then you get everyone else at a pretty good price that can put up a good fantasy number. Thompson is out. I never take Thompson ever. I will never take Thompson. If you see any cash lineup with Thompson in it, it's a problem, and it is not me. Trust and believe. Evan Fournier, he's out. Caldwell Pope, this is like a pretty good spot for him. As I said, Lakers are missing Josh Hart. They're playing pretty short-handed. He's been, relatively consistent lately if you want to take a look at game logs. Miami isn't exactly a pace-up matchup, but the Lakers is a pace-up team, so hopefully the Lakers' pace up will, counteract Miami's pace down. Not to mention Miami is short-handed also, so hopefully Caldwell Pope can take advantage of that. He had this dud against Orlando. I don't know what went on that you played 38 minutes and got 15 points. His last game against Miami, 35 minutes though. I'm okay with that. Maybe missed a lot of shots. So, I'm okay with Caldwell Pope because he's just getting massive minutes, as you see. Mega minutes. And minutes leads to opportunity in DFS. Period. You can trickle down to small forward. Let me tell you something. If Kevin Durant is playing, then you take Kevin Durant. I don't care. I don't care what you have to do. You just take Kevin Durant. He is the absolute safest play on the board as long as as long as Steph and Clay is out and whoever else is out. He is just absolutely too safe to pass up, even at 11,400. But he's questionable, so I can't plug him in right now because there's no guarantee he's playing. Paul George is also questionable, but I think he's probable. I particularly don't really like Paul George unless he's under 7,500. He's just too expensive to be on a team with Russell Westbrook, where Westbrook takes up so much usage. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But George is always a good GPP option because of the defensive stats that he can rack up. John Simmons, this is Boston defense, so I'm not really willing to pay $7K for this guy. I'm just not, especially with Orlando slowly but surely getting back healthy. Gallinari is out. Barnes, typically I take Barnes, but his price never goes anywhere because his production never goes anywhere. He never hits above 35. He never gets below 25. That's ridiculous. I did skip Tatum. This is a juicy matchup against Orlando, and with all of the guys, especially all the wing guys out, he's definitely up. He's my version of a cheap Kevin Durant. As far as so many other guys out, someone has to get the usage. So he's going to get all the wing usage. He's going to get Marcus Smart's usage. He's going to get Jaylen Brown's usage. Even Baines. Because Theus went out. So, that small amount of usage is going to go to him. So, he's just soaking up minutes, soaking up production with these injuries as of late. And it's Orlando defense. So, Orlando defense is always an increasing factor. I also took a look at Winslow against the Lakers since the Heat are playing shorthanded also. He's been pretty steady as far as cash go. His floor is pretty secure. His minutes are pretty secure also. He's playing above 25 minutes in basically every game outside of this one against Philadelphia and producing. Covington, he seems to have returned. Remember when Covington was 4,500 about 2 or 3 weeks ago? He seems to have returned to form ever since that game against Cleveland. That's been a get right spot. He's had a semi-dud game against the Greek Freaks defense where he dropped 22. I don't know what the price that he was at that point, but since then he's been putting up 40s and 30s consistently. At 6K against Brooklyn defense, he's definitely a viable option. The reason why I'm not taking him in cash over Tatum is because he's like the third or fourth option on that team, with the first two options being such heavy usage guys in Simmons and Embiid. So that's why I really can't take him in cash over Tatum. I would take him in cash if I needed to spend that money elsewhere, that 600, but I'll take Tatum over Covington for the time being, and if I need to plug Covington in later, I will if KD is out. At power forward, you go down. The Heat are shorthanded. They do not have Whiteside. Instantly, that makes the big three power forwards of the Heat automatic viable options. Kelly Olynyk, James Johnson, and Bam. They all have their caveats, their pros and their cons. Olynyk seems to get more shots. James Johnson seems to do more ball handling. And Bam seems, he plays center and he's the cheapest. So anywhere you want to go with that, you can. I'll take the guy that gets the center minutes and that's the cheapest so I can save money and spend it elsewhere. I'll plug in Bam. If you want to go in and plug in Bam and Olynyk, Bam and James Johnson, however you want to do it, you can. It's really not any wrong way. James Johnson seems to be more of a GPP play because of his upside. But his floor is not that shabby either. It is, but it isn't. So he's probably more of a GPP play because his upside is so immense. So that would be something to. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm recording. I'm checking my emails. Also, Marcus Morris, 6,400. It is Orlando defense, but Horford should return. I'm not going to chase this 47 points. That would be kind of a fish move because he just went against his brother. And it was a double overtime game. So y'all need to pay attention to that before y'all consider dropping 6,400 on Marcus Morris. Olynyk, as I said, he's probably more of the cash play out of the three power forwards because he gets, the steady usage and shots when he's on the court. But as I said, he's $1,600 more than Bam. So if you want to go Bam and Olynyk, that's fine. What I'm going to suggest, though, is you spend a little bit of money and you go to either Julius Randle, who for some reason his price is dropping, despite the fact that he's dominating. This man has been dominating in basketball. His lowest score in the past however long. This goes back to what, the end of January. 21 points on January 17th, and ever since then he's been above 27 points. I mean, and even as of late, I mean, 60, 40, 35, 30, 27, 37, 41, 39. I mean, this dude is beasting. Keep in mind, they don't have Whiteside in Miami. So who's going to stop this man from doing what he wants to do? So definitely Randall, if you want to consider him at 7,400. With Kevin Durant's injury and the fact all of the other injuries in Golden State, you have to take a look at Draymond Green. I will probably favor Draymond over Randall because of the security in the minutes and just because of how beat up the Warriors are, especially if KD doesn't play. If KD doesn't play, there needs to be no lineup without Draymond Green because he will literally be like the only starter. So for the time being, I'll lock him in and go from there. At center, you can go a few different ways. Horford is returning. This is Orlando defense without Kyrie, without Smart, without Brown. Horford's usage is above 30%. That's huge for a good player against a bad defense. So that's the place to go. If Steven Adams does play, DeAndre Jordan is still a good option because they'll need his minutes in defense against Adams. If Steven Adams does not play, DeAndre Jordan goes to a near elite play because of his dominance, and there's going to be no one that can do anything with him inside, and he should go for 20 and 20. If you want to take a look at game logs, I mean, he's been eating. I mean, he's been doing his thing. So 8,400 is not a bad price to play for a guy that's going to get you the minutes and production that you probably need. He has all of these games above 15 rebounds every single game, except this Denver game, which he went up against Jokic, in this Phoenix game, which is Phoenix. Who knows what happens with them? Joe Val, the only reason I can't ever trust him in cash, although he's been very consistent and very dominant, is because of his minutes. Centers against Dallas are a thing, but Joe Val's minutes, they're just not conducive of what I'm willing to pay $7,400 for when I can just get Horford for $200 less. Vucevic, he gets the usage, but he's going against Horford defense, which is more viable than Monroe and Baines defense, so I won't go there. Embiid, yes, Brooklyn gets dominated by centers. Yes, Embiid can dominate Brooklyn. Yes, Embiid has 60-point upside. No, I will not be taking him in cash because there's other options that I can pay down for. So, those are different paths you can go in cash. If you want to go here for cash, I'm not going to stop you, especially if Durant is out, but even if not, Zaza, when he plays minutes, I mean, he's a point per minute monster. Typically, when he plays a lot of minutes, he just produces all across the board. He dominates. These seem like GPPS numbers, but you're basically getting Valanciunas at half of the price because he does exactly what Val does. 23 minutes, 25 minutes, 29 points, 42 points. That's exactly what Val does, but you're paying way less for him. So if you want to go there and save the money, that's fine. Especially if KD is out, someone has to produce at some point. That's my daughter over there screaming at me. I'm going to have to go over there and get her. Give me a second. Let me pause this. So I can start this lineup by putting in Zaza. Y'all can go up and get Horford, go up and get DeAndre. I'll go ahead and put Zaza in just so we can have more money to spend and see where it takes us. So, right now we got two Warriors. As I said, Durant, we don't know yet. So we can start going back and building. We go back to small forward. We can go ahead and plug in that Covington play that we saw. Why not? Or you can go ahead and save money and go Corey Brewer, who's been very, very safe as of late. If Durant is out, you almost have to play Caspi because he's going to get a mega amount of minutes, and he's going to produce in those minutes. That's what he does. But we don't know about Durant, so we'll leave that blank for now. So if you want to go Brewer, I'm completely on board against the Clippers defense at this price point. Very good play because he's just getting minutes and he's producing in those minutes. If you want to go ahead up here and plug in the Westbrook, since you just can't resist getting Westbrook, then go right ahead. At least as shooting guard, wherever you want to go, you can go. And this is where you have to tweak your lineup to spend your money that you want to spend. If you want to go Lou Will, you can. I'm personally probably not. It's really tough. Shooting guards are a really ugly position today. Let's plug in the snitch and see what we can spend elsewhere. And that's really all it's about. You can go with change Brewer out for Covington, get those, a better player, a younger player, etc., etc. And do something like that, and you have yourself a viable cash lineup. As I said, there's many different paths that you can go. Right here, you have no salary remaining, and you have a relatively safe lineup that you should be able to feel comfortable in your cash games. If you want to take a different path and put in Mr. Safe Cash Dinwiddie in at point guard, and then go up to Olenek and then bump it up to Jordan so you can, get better players essentially, or players that's going to get more minutes. You can do that. Why do I think Dinwiddie is Mr. Cash? Let me show you. This guy, his game logs are ridiculously safe and consistent at 5,800, which means to get 5x, you need about 29. 5x. He's gotten above 25 in like every single game going back to this Minnesota game where he put up 21. So, I mean, when you look at Cash game plays, you want to look at these consistent minutes and this consistent production, and that's an example of why I would be willing to play Dinwiddie if it meant I made a lineup better than I like, better than the one I made before. So if I want to go Westbrook, obviously you can. I'm never going to stop you from going Westbrook. But, if you want to get guys like DeAndre Jordan and go up from Brewer to Covington, things like that, then you can definitely plug in Dinwiddie and spend that money. If we get news that KD is playing, then we're obviously going to have to put him in at small forward. So that would be a case where you can drop Jordan back down to Zaza or drop Jordan down, to anybody else, really, if you want, and plug in KD. If you want to plug in him, take Covington, plug in KD, call it a day. Drop Snitch down. Maybe to shooting guard so bad. Oh my God. Take Olenek, drop him back down to maybe James Johnson. Something like that to build your lineup. However you want to do it. There's different paths to do it. But I've kind of showed you the blueprint of what I'm using to target my lineups. I'm definitely anchoring it with Dragic and probably Caldwell Pope. Center, I'm probably going Zaza or Jordan or Horford. Power forward, I'm definitely taking one or two Heat power forwards, and more than likely Draymond. Small forward, if KD plays, obviously KD. Oh, wait a minute, this out just whoa, he just whoa, wow, this just came up. Durant's ruled out. He's ruled out. So instantly that changes everything, because now you can go Caspi if you want. And this definitely solidifies that you need Draymond in your lineups. Don't make a lineup without Draymond. Just don't. I don't care. Just don't. Don't make a lineup without Draymond. So that definitely changes everything. So that probably makes me like Zaza a little more, just because that's just that much more minutes and production to go around. When you have a Warriors team where Draymond's the most expensive guy, he's the best guy. After that, you have Iguodala at like 40-something hundred. And then you have a bunch of scrubs that's under 4K. So don't shy away from a Warrior stack if you feel that that's where you want to go to plug in your big guys. And if you think I'm not taking Westbrook after that news, then you're dead crazy. I'm going to drop James Johnson back down to Bam. And I think I have a lineup that I like. I would probably run this out of my cash game lineups. D'Angelo Russell gives me a little bit of pause, but I'm okay targeting JJ Redick's defense. But this right here is a very solid cash lineup. And if you play me head-to-head, you'll probably see this lineup. So if you think you can beat this lineup, then please come at me, bro. But I think this would be a good starting point, and then you can make your tweaks as news comes out or as your gut tells you something else. All right, players.